Joining me for this discussion, live from Mombasa, is the former Deputy Governor of Mombasa, Hazel Katana. Hazel, welcome to the program. And of course, live in studio here, let me start from the far right there. We have the former Deputy Governor of West Pokot, Titus Leto. Welcome, Lotte, I beg your pardon. Welcome to the program. Right next to me, also the former Deputy Governor of Nairobi County, Jonathan Mweke. Welcome to the program as well. Let me start with you, gentlemen, briefly before I go over to Hazel. Devolution at 5. Let me start with you, Titus. What are you most proud of, and what are you most concerned about?
Well, devolution at 5. I think I'm really proud that we've been able to be in this journey for the last 5 years. Because if you look at the Kenyan history, we realize that devolution, when it started during what we call Majimbo, by the time it was hitting 5 years, actually, there was a lot of struggle for it to survive. Actually, it was died. So I'm really proud that we have been able to keep the faith of devolution and that we are going to celebrate our 5th year of devolution. What I'm a little bit dismayed about devolution is exactly what we've actually seen people saying. People are talking about issues that are emerging based on the experiences that we've had for the last 4 years. And I think those issues are things that we will need to address during this devolution conference. Issues of tribalism, issues of corruption, issues of high employment, unemployment rates that are coming as a result of the existence of counties, and probably also issues of the relationship between the national government and the county government, especially on the disbursement of funding. Okay,
DG Mweke, your thoughts? What are you most proud of? What are you most concerned about?
I'm most proud of the implementation of devolution. You know, it was passed in the Constitution 2010, and it was implemented at least to some parts until it began to work. I also really was proud about the transition period. You know, the elections came after 4 years and 8 months, and the governors who didn't make it through, like ourselves, handed over peacefully, handed over gracefully, and there was some sort of continuity in the counties. So I think that transition was a very good thing for our country. My concerns remain funding. There's still not enough funding that's going into the counties, and accountability, of course. There's lack of accountability between the citizens accounting for their leaders, between the structures of devolution that are supposed to account for the way the counties are run. So we are not seeing the senators pulling their weight, protecting their counties. We are not seeing the members of county assembly playing their oversight role properly. Although I'm really proud that the members of county assembly now have begun, or they started being able to make laws, local laws that localize the issues of the county. So those are the challenges and I think opportunities that I've seen.
Let me get some views now from former DG of Mombasa County, Hazel Katana. Hazel, I trust you can hear me loud and clear. In your view, what did the ordinary Kenyan expect from devolution, and what did they get, Hazel?
You see, there were great expectations from ordinary Mwananchi, what they expected from devolution. But in my own view, what we saw was that the devolution was not well understood by many of the citizens, especially here in the coast, in the sense that people thought it was money in their pocket, wealth for them. But instead, they didn't understand it that way. It was supposed to be wholesome development, bringing services closer to the people, and that is what didn't come out very well for the citizens.
Do you think the ordinary Kenyan, and you've used the example of the coast, did they not have enough time to go through the 2010 Constitution? Did they not have the interest? Where do you think the disconnect happened, if you're saying they don't understand or did not understand what devolution would bring?
You see, after the 2010 Constitution was promulgated, you get to understand that not much sensitization, not much civic education was done. And so people took into a wave of what the leaders were telling them, in the sense that they themselves didn't have that opportunity to either read the Constitution or understand the Constitution or be able to get the civic education for them to understand devolution.
Okay, let me get a reaction from my guest here in the studio. I'm coming back to you, Hazel, shortly. Gentlemen, did you experience that in the county? She says in Mombasa County that was a big issue. I think individuals expected that there would be more money in our pockets with devolution, but that was not the case. I don't know what you experienced as well, whether in West Pokot or in Nairobi.
Well, I think that expectation was something that was actually seen, even when we were actually rolling out devolution. And you actually could hear people saying, now we're leaving Nairobi to the counties because that is where money is. And so people were actually expecting to go to counties and be able to reap out of it. But I think in practice then, that is not what is supposed to be, because this funding is supposed to go and spur development.
Okay.
Not to spur people's pockets.
The funding is not the development, it is to spur development.
It's to spur development. Not to go into people's pockets. And I think then the expectation of people of they will go and sit strategically in a place in counties and be able to reap was something that was expected but did not happen.
Okay. And Honorable Mweke?
Yeah, I think I do agree with my colleague Hazel Katana that there was not enough sensitization. And the way the constitution was done is roles are very clear on who should be doing what. And the biggest thing with devolution is that all the players of devolution really don't understand what their roles are. Not even at the citizen level, even at the leadership.
Till today.
Till today, even at the leadership level. You'll find sometimes, you know, the functions were very clear. These are the national functions, these are the county functions. And you'll find today members of National Assembly, MPs, going to duplicate what the governors should be doing in their constituencies, while their role really is oversight of the national government and also making laws for the people they represent. But they come in and they create a lot of conflict with the governors and try and do their own roads, try and put in their own hospitals. So it creates a very big confusion. What that does now is it confuses also the citizen. So the citizen sits down and does not know whose role is what. Yeah. So the civic education, I think, is going to be very, very important, so that everybody understands their roles, everybody stays on their lane, and once you do that, then there's accountability. The leaders now, or the citizens now, know that this is the governor, this is his job. This is the senator, this is their job. This is the MP, this is the MCA, this is their job. And once that is understood, then now you can begin to hold those people, elected officials, accountable.
But 5 years later, still quite not there.
Very gray areas.
Let me go back to Honorable Katana, get a few comments from her before I release her. Honorable Katana, deputy governors, did they also understand their roles? Did the Constitution give them the necessary guidelines on what you were supposed to be doing?
It was only one line that was in the Constitution: the deputy governor will deputize the governor. And many times it was the prerogative of the governor now to give you those roles as he feels that he can give you. And so the Constitution did not guide us as deputy governors as to what we are to do, do's and don'ts, and what is expected of the deputy governor, and the roles and responsibilities that were to be given to the deputy governor. So that doesn't come out in our Constitution. And
when you look at the appointment of CECs in office, we have seen scenarios where a CEC who has a background, for example, a medical background, is put into a roads ministry, etc. Was it a case of governors, number one, seeking to political appointments, or just following what we see sometimes in national government as well? Because that was also a concern for some deputy governors in the last 5 years.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. One thing I'll tell you about the pioneer governors and deputy governors is that for those that we took, I'm talking about my county, we were rewarding people who had walked the talk with us, people who had been in our campaign trail, and we were like going to take those people and say thank you. And so some people knew that they're going to be there and they're going to be rewarded and be given those positions. And so unfortunately, we see somebody who is a banker and is being told he's going to run the Ministry of Health, for example. It was a big challenge. Though we have the chief officers, we ideally have that expertise and experience, and that they're in that field, but then it would have made more sense to have CCs who are well versed with the ministries that we're going to work in.
Finally, what would you like to see addressed at the 5th Devolution Conference in your view?
I think we should also garner for those, mirror what the national government is doing, the big four, so that even within our counties, number one, Ministry of Health, how can they now come and boost for us our hospitals, our services, our health services? I think that is key. Water, that's a big issue. If governors could come up with a way of addressing water across counties, because there were counties which seemed to be okay in terms of service provision and all that, but when you look at it closely, we all need to tell our governors, hey, we still yet to see the mega projects, we're yet to see the big four, we're yet to see the Ministry of Health doing well, because most of these are what people are crying for. This is what people are asking, this is what people are expecting. Just better services to the Wananchi.